Welcome back to the JR Takes Sportscast. I'm Ryan Rogers.
And I'm Jonah Hoffman. It's great to be back. We took a little month break there. We weren't exactly on a break. We just were both extremely busy with trips, and I got COVID during the time span too. So, it's great to be back in the lab.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while. We both went to Boston to see our beloved Seattle Mariners take on the Red Sox. It didn't go very well.
1-2 pitch. Go. There's a shot. High toward the wall, and that ball is gone. It's a grand slam. Hey, have yourself a month, Trevor Story. My goodness.
No, they suck.
Yeah.
No, in all honesty, it was a great trip. It was really cool seeing Fenway. I was really surprised at how small it was compared to T-Mobile
Yeah, it was
Park.
tiny.
Yeah.
You could see super well from every point in the stadium. We did like a full walk around because I don't know if I'm ever going to be back there.
Yeah, we basically had our seats were on third base, and we went all the way to right field, and it was kind of cool. They had like a little beer garden up there, if you want to call it that, I guess. But yeah, it was a great experience. We did the Freedom Trail. That was fun. It was basically like a hike of downtown Boston, like all the historical sites and monuments. And
for only being a 3-day trip, we saw a lot of the city by foot. We walked like 10 miles a day, basically.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool, like with the Celtics being in the Eastern Conference Finals at the time. Obviously, they're in the finals, NBA Finals now, but it was cool. We went to a bar and watched the game. And,
and who were they playing in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Miami Heat.
Because didn't the Heat's bus drive right by us when we were walking around?
Was that what that actually was?
Because there was the police escort. I mean, it would make sense.
But I don't know, because it was already like 6 o'clock by then. Wouldn't they already be at the... Maybe not. I don't remember. That would make sense, though, but I don't remember what time it was.
Well, you also got to remember that they play games way later.
That's true. They started at their game at 8.
Yeah.
Games never start that late over here.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, for me, that was...
no, 8:30, I think it was, because,
The baseball game?
No, the basketball game, because normally it starts at 5:30 here, and, if you think the NBA Finals game tonight is on at 6, it's starting at 9 on their time, so it's like, damn, you have to stay up late.
That's definitely something I never think about watching primetime sports, is how the East Coast has to stay up super late for it.
Yeah.
But anywho, that was a fun trip. First time to the East Coast for me. Mariners were a disappointment, but overall, Boston's a sweet city. So if there are any Boston fans out there, we'd love to be back someday.
Yeah. The Mariners, of course, disappointment. Hopefully they can figure it out. I believe they're 7 games under 500. They won today. They won in the 9th after being down 5-2, so that was pretty cool seeing them come back and win. I thought that it was over and was gonna delete the MLB app off of my phone again for the second time in like a 3-week stretch. But anyway, Ryan, should we move on to football discussion?
Yeah, let's get to it. So the topic of discussion today is whether Drew Lock or Geno Smith is going to be the starter. And in my opinion, I think it would be a disaster if Geno Smith ends up as the starter. Not because I think he's going to be terrible if he does play, but it's just like, I mean, he's 32. He's been in the NFL since 2013. He's virtually the same age as Russ. So I just don't see, especially, with where Pete Carroll is in his career, I don't see the benefit in playing Geno. Even if maybe he will be less turnover prone and safer with the ball, which that makes me think Pete would probably start it. But I don't know. I think Drew has a lot of upside, and if they can coach the turnovers, maybe, I mean, you're never going to coach the turnovers out of a player because football's such a random sport. But I just think there's so much more long-term benefit to seeing what we have in a young guy, because not only is he more talented, but I don't know. It seems like Denver kind of screwed him over. So I think there's a lot a lot that could potentially be brought out of him. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, quick note, Levi Lewis did not last long on the team. He got cut pretty quick.
Barely made it through minicamp.
Which was a little bit of a bummer. Lefty Levi left us pretty fast. But no, I agree with you completely. I would be pretty irritated if Geno Smith is our starting quarterback week 1, just because, I mean, we talked about the whole DUI thing, and I just don't really think, I mean, I'm not in that locker room. I don't know how much trust they have in Geno, but I can't look at him and feel like he's going to lead us anywhere. Like, I don't know if that means X amount of wins, a playoff berth. I would rather see what we have in Drew Lock. We already know what we have in Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's been in the league since 2013. So what you see is what you get with him. He's a backup level talent.
I think he's a good backup. I'm down to keep Geno as a backup as long as he's, got the physical ability to have that role. He's not going to go in and, like destroy a game and throw 5 picks, but he's also not really going to throw 5 touchdowns unless it's the Jaguars with Urban Meyer. So yeah, I see no long-term benefit to playing the guy, and with how young the Seahawks are going to be next year, and who knows, maybe they'll surprise us, but I'm not expecting big things out of them. I would be elated if they did somehow sneak into the playoffs, but I think it's a year to kind of evaluate which young guys have a future in the organization and, reload, so to speak.
Well, and what do you think about the chances in landing Baker Mayfield? Do you think he's going to stick with Cleveland because they have to pay him a lot of money?
Yeah.
And
I think we're post June 1st, so I can't remember the exact deal with that, but there's significant cap savings sometimes if you move on someone post June 1st. So I think if that's what they were waiting for, maybe now something will be happening. But I if you look around the league, where is Baker going to be starting? I mean, Falcons maybe, but I kind of don't see it. They drafted Ritter. I feel like if anything, they just, every team wants at least 2 guys, like a starter and a good backup. And if they're doing a competition, it's a lot harder to evaluate when you have more than 2 guys gunning for it.
I'm really surprised a team like the New York Giants hasn't gone after him, because you think Tyrod Taylor's going to do anything? I mean, I'm not really a believer in him. He's been flashy here and there, brought the Bills to their first playoff berth a couple years ago in, I think, 2017. But I
feel like Tyrod's just a slightly better Geno Smith.
Yeah. And don't even get me started on Daniel Jones. As someone who's had Saquon Barkley on their fantasy team for 3 years, I blame Daniel Jones for his lack of productivity. But anyway, that being said, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't really see Baker fitting in. At first, when I heard rumors that he might come to Seattle, I was like, please, God, no. I can't stand Baker Mayfield. Don't let him. But now as time has passed, I kind of like when we got Drew Lock, I was like, oh, God, great. We have this loser. But now I'm like, I'm stoked we have Drew Lock. I would like to see the potential in him. But at the same time, I would like to see where this team could go if we had a Baker Mayfield for cheap on this team, on this roster. But I don't know. It's a tough call. The only scenario I would want Baker on this team is if the Browns cut him and then we sign him, so we don't have to trade them any picks or anything like that.
I agree. I would never want to trade anything for him, but even signing him, I'm would almost be disappointed, because I feel like he would probably win the job outright. And I don't know. I just don't really believe in Baker's potential. I think he's, the 20th best starter in the league at best, which, that's not terrible. That can win you games, get you to the playoffs, but I'm just not super interested in it. I would rather roll the dice on Lock. If it's a disaster this season, great. Let's use our 2 first-round picks we have coming up in the 2023 draft to draft a quarterback in the class that's going to be a lot better than the last few have been. I mean, there's C.J. Stroud coming out of OSU, and then Bryce Young out of Alabama, Will Levis out of, I think he's from Kentucky, I want to say. I don't know. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming up in this class that are supposedly really good. I mean, you never know. I feel like evaluating quarterbacks is one of the hardest jobs in college football because there's so many variables at play, and so often they just don't pan out. But either way, I wouldn't be like devastated if we ended up with Baker Mayfield, but I'm kind of at peace with our quarterback situation as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you also got to think, I mean, we're through minicamp, we're most of the way through OTAs. In a couple of weeks here, it's going to be mandatory minicamp. And then there's that break, last chunk of the offseason before training camp starts. So, you know, guys are learning the playbook, which is a lot to consider. You know, I've always thought it would be really difficult to memorize an NFL playbook and all the, you know, changes and audibles and all of that stuff. And I think the longer this thing goes on, the more difficult it's going to be for Baker to go anywhere and start, because he's going to be in a new system. He's going to have to, you know, get acclimated to a whole new supporting cast and all of that. And here's another thing. Deshaun Watson might not be able to play this season. There was recently another allegation, which makes 23. I seriously just don't see how 23 women are lying about it. Honestly, like, I know, you know, it's innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't look good.
Well, and what does that mean exactly then, for as far as like going back to court? Because didn't the charges get dropped? So what happens when a new allegation comes up?
It didn't go. It was a grand jury, so it wasn't like a trial with, you know, like a jury of peers or whatever. Because I think it's civil court, or you know what? I am not a legal expert. I wouldn't be the one to ask on this, actually. But I'm pretty sure the long and short of it is Deshaun Watson is not going to be out of this mess anytime soon with this new allegation coming up. So I think the Browns are so stupid for doing what they did. Because
especially giving him all that guaranteed money.
Yeah, they have already resigned themselves to $230 million to a guy that I mean, I do think he'll eventually play for them, but like there is a world where he never plays for the Browns and makes, you know, basically $250 million off of them.
It's what we like to call Brock Osweilering someone.
Only the Browns can do the Browns, man. God damn. But yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see how that situation plays out, because it seems like Baker, if he has to be the starting quarterback for the Browns, just is going to like sit out or something. That's kind of my feel on the situation, and we'll see what happens. But
I think if he was smart, though, he would play and I mean, prove to them that they made a mistake.
Yeah,
paying all that money for a guy that might not even play this season or who knows how long.
And Baker is also, I think he would be, I understand the emotions behind it, but he would be pretty foolish to just, if he is, you know, forced to be the Browns starter this year, to just pass that opportunity up, because he's on the last year of his rookie deal. If he wants to make some serious money next year, he's got to put something out there, because the last 16 games of play, or however many he played last year, were not pretty. And I know it's because he was injured and the Browns weren't spectacular last year or anything, but we've seen how, you know, one good season from a quarterback can make them hundreds of millions of dollars, like Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
Although that wasn't even a full season. It was like, you know, playing in place of an injured, very old Peyton Manning and not shitting his pants got him like
with that amazing defense.
Yeah.
So
yeah, anyways, that one's still, it's kind of crazy. Here we are, June 5th, recording this, and the Baker thing is unresolved, because it was like mid-March when that whole thing blew up.
Yeah, I would be kind of a little bit stoked if we signed him to a cheap deal. Just because I would like to see this team make it to the playoffs. And I think having him, he's a number one draft pick talent level. I mean, I think that we would be a lot better with him under center. But that just brings up another point is I would like to see what Drew Lock can do.
We'll at least get the preseason with Drew Lock, but if we never get to see him start, I'll honestly be kind of disappointed because I think that's truly the only way you can evaluate someone is by throwing them to the wolves, you know? And I think the Seahawks organization under Pete Carroll has shown that we are actually pretty good at developing quarterbacks. I mean, Russ himself was developed in this system. You know, he came out of the league as something special, but he definitely was coached to play the way that he played. You know, like I remember hearing Doug Baldwin say that like the scramble drill was like a big part of practice. You know, so like it looked like chaos on the field, but it was almost like organized chaos. So that was the coaching staff using his strengths. And I get kind of annoyed when I hear people say like, oh, Russell Wilson never had a system built around him. Like, yeah, what? Because we ran the ball? Like, I don't know. I just think people take like such little information into account when they say shit like that. And I'm not even being a Pete Carroll defender. You know my feelings on how the last several years have gone, but
for sure,
there's blame all around for how 2021 went and how, you know, our playoff failures have gone the last few years. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year without him, you know, like, because Geno did come in last year and yeah, he didn't play great, but he played Seahawks football. You know, he was efficient. He didn't commit a lot of turnovers, didn't throw a lot of picks. And it seems like we put together a system that just minimizes opportunities for, you know, terrible turnover worthy plays. So that's why I think, you know, if Drew can get out there, he has like really, really good physical abilities. He can run, he has a hose, to quote John Schneider. So I would just be curious for the mystery box that is Drew, but we'll see. No matter what, I don't think anyone outside of like Aaron Rodgers is gonna bring this team to a Super Bowl next year, and that's the goal. Making the playoffs is great, but it's about the Super Bowl, you know. So I like the process we're doing right now. The draft was great, so no matter who's under center next year, I think 2023 is when we can talk about championships. But before we get there, I think it's time to make some way too early season predictions for next year.
Yes. Do you want to start it off with the return of Russ?
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Broncos.
Let's ride.
Perfect.
Okay.
One more time. Broncos country. Let's ride.
Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
Anyways, so week 1, honestly, this is already the game of the year for us. First game of the year.
Yeah.
I was looking at tickets for it. They're literally $1,000. So I don't know if I'm going to make it, but
I'm not going to pay $1,000 to see Let's Ride.
It would be surreal. I mean, I know it's going to be like a once in a lifetime atmosphere that night in the stadium. Curious to see whether there's boos or cheers when Russ comes out of the tunnel, but anyway, I feel like he's going to get booed is my personal prediction. But as for the game itself, hear me out. I think our defense has a chance to actually be top 10 next year. We added a lot of talent this offseason. I think Clint hurt. It's just been press conferences that I've heard out of him so far. But one thing that he said that I really liked and that I've heard some players echo is he said, I want pass rushers to rush the passer and I want cover guys to cover, which sounds like no more Puna Ford being dropped in the
Sounds
coverage.
like a Jameis Winston quote, but okay.
Man, as a kid, my passion was always football, right? But being taken away from the game, I didn't realize that my passion was playing football.
Yeah. But basically, I mean, it seems like we're going to be running a little more simple concepts and not, putting 290-pound defensive ends covering a running back and stupid Ken Norton shit like that anymore. So,
well, and that was one thing that our defense it was so frustrating watching it because it was like death by 1,000 cuts. You had the quarterback fucking throwing cute little 4-yard, 5-yard passes like that, just marching down the field, long drives that kept our defense on the field.
Well, and I think that's why Colt McCoy beat us twice in the last 2 years because he sucks and only completes checkdowns. But when Tannehill and the Titans came in week 2, that's all he was doing. He just dropped back. Oh, running back over the middle. Right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see something different, but we are running more 3-4 concepts this year, and Jamal Adams really excelled under a 3-4 with New York. So I think priority number 1 for the defense is figuring out how to use him as a weapon again, because people forget, because of the last 2 years, that Jamal Adams was like all-pro best safety in the league in 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
And he's a very unique player. So if one of these young guys can grab one of the corner spots, I think that would be awesome. But Sidney Jones and maybe an Artie Burns, they'll be passable. Frankly, I hope one of them gets cut and we have Kobe Bryant starting.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who wins the battle between Russ knowing our system or Pete Carroll knowing Russ and his flaws and how to exploit them and turn him into a bad cook, so to speak.
Yeah, they just need to play 2 high safeties the whole game because for some reason that breaks Russell's brain whenever teams do that. But maybe I'm being a total homer here, but I think first game with a new team, having to learn this new system, I think with us having our home opener and prime time and such a hostile environment for opposing teams, I think we squeak out like a 16-14 just poop fest of a game, and it's beautiful. We win. We get to be like, fuck you, Russ, in the moment, and then kind of get over the whole thing. But I just think emotions are going to be at play, and maybe Russ won't come out as hot as he's expecting to, and I think the Seahawks actually pull this off.
Well, we definitely this is like we were given the best opportunity playing the Broncos week 1, I think, because with, like you said, with Russell being in a new system and, he's more prone to make those kind of mistakes because we know him as a quarterback, and with us changing our defensive scheme, it's not like he's going to be like, oh, I've seen this in practice a million times. So, I want to say we get the W. I'm kind of with you. I think it'll be low scoring, and it'll be a Monday night game. It'll be rocking at the, I guess I can't call it the Clink anymore, Lumen Field. I'm gonna say 21-24. We pull it out.
Oh, you're taking the W too?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an awesome way to start the season, but I could see it happening. I did just remember the last 2 seasons, Russ had like a perfect passer rating in week 1 on the road both times. So maybe I'm being an idiot, but it's a whole new team. So, and
is it really going to be on the road though? Because he wouldn't have played a home game at Mile High yet. And so he's used to playing home games in Seattle. So maybe it'll be a psychological thing, and
and he hasn't been
statistic won't matter.
He hasn't been playing that good at Lumen, anyways. So he's actually been better on the road recently, anyways. So that starts us off at 1-0, and then week 2 at San Francisco. This is an L, honestly. It's going to be the 49ers home opener. They were just in the NFC Championship, pretty close to the Super Bowl last year.
You think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to just start right back from last season and be the starter? You don't think Trey Lance is?
So I guess that's the thing. If Trey Lance is starting here, I like our odds a lot better because I just think he's still not ready based on what I saw last year.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, Trey Lance reminds me a lot of Colin Kaepernick, the way he looks and like plays, like just the way he runs and He throws just such a fastball like Kaepernick did.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. I see this being a really hard game to win. And we might be, still coming down from the emotional high of the week before and, Russ's return and everything. So I'm just kind of expecting it to go down that way. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with you right here. I think being on the road, it'll be the first time for a lot of our young guys. Just dealing with the crowd noise, number one, and I think there'll be games where if Drew Lock is our starter, he'll have, maybe a couple games here and there where he turns the ball over more than you want him to.
Yeah.
And
I could definitely see that defense making that happen.
And yeah, the Niners have a great front seven. I could see, maybe them selling out to stop the run this game and making Drew Lock beat them. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that against that defense,
especially early on.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna say we lose probably by 10.
That I feel like 2010 kind of game seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
How about Atlanta?
This I could see this being a stupid game that we lose, but I think we're gonna win. Like
I'm right there with you.
I think we should win. Like Atlanta is one of the worst teams in the league talent wise.
They don't really case they're the worst team in the league right now.
They don't really make any sense. Like they drafted a tight end last year and a receiver this year. Like, and their defense is trash.
It's so bad.
So I'm just like, it just doesn't really make any sense the way they're building. It's almost like they're just repeating the process that they did with Matt Ryan. Because they had Roddy White and Julio Jones, and then they added, Julio Jones came after they drafted Matt Ryan, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had Roddy White, they had Tony Gonzalez, and then Matt Ryan showed up, and it almost seems like they're doing that again. They're like, they got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, now they're probably going to be horrible this year, and then draft a quarterback next year.
No chance Ritters turns in anything for them?
I suppose there's a chance. You think he's going to start, though?
I think if any of the quarterbacks from this class, besides Kenny Pickett, are going to start in a uphill battle situation like that, I would lean towards Ritter because with him, it wasn't an issue of NFL readiness. It was an issue of accuracy. Mm-hmm. So
to be honest with you, I kind of forgot that they drafted him. But I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, he did win. He made Cincinnati a winning culture. I mean, not him specifically, but I mean, he was the quarterback. So
yeah, he seems to have those intangible leadership qualities. There was something about those Bearcats teams, though. It's like everyone from those teams is a dog, so to speak, from what I've heard.
Absolutely. So yeah, bottom line, I'm going to say this is a win.
I think I'm actually going to go a step ahead of you and say that this is a blowout, like 31-10 victory.
Wow, okay.
And I think whoever the Falcons quarterback is, I think they throw at least 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun one. So we're at this point, I think all Seahawks fans are going to be pretty stoked if we're looking at the Detroit Lions game in week 4 and we're 2-1.
Yeah.
So... and I actually have us winning against the Lions too. I know that they seemed to be kind of on the rise towards the end of last year. Who did they beat? Some good team. Didn't they beat the Cardinals?
They beat the Vikings and the Steelers. I know that for sure, but
I think they beat the Cardinals too. I think they beat the crap out of the Cardinals actually.
I think you're right actually. Yeah.
But either way, it's still Jared Goff. I still don't care. We're going to beat them. This might be a stress fest, though.
I think it will be because the Lions drafted a lot of talented players.
Well, they got Jameson Williams. Who else did they get? It's hard to remember, even though it was only a month ago.
Yeah. God.
I remember thinking their draft was pretty solid, though.
Didn't they have 2 first-round picks?
They might have. They did a bunch of trades. Oh, they got Aiden Hutchinson.
Duh. Yeah.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think they'll definitely be a better team this year, but I think they're a year or two away from being anything threatening. So I think going into week 5 against the Saints, we are actually 3-1, which at the time I'm sure people are going to be freaking out that the Seahawks post Russ are a winning team, maybe in first place in the division at that point.
Personally, I'm going to have to disagree with you on the Lions game. I think we're going to lose that game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Lions are going to. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. They got, obviously, now Aiden Hutchinson on their D-line, and I could see him getting after our quarterback. But I don't know. I have a weird feeling about that Lions game.
It is a 10 a.m. game.
Yeah.
So.
10 a.m. games, there's just been something off about our team performing it.
That's why I predicted it to be a close win. Like, I'll say it's like a 21-20 kind of win. But
yeah.
What do you got for the next week at the Saints?
This is also one for me that could kind of go either way. I think we should have beat the Saints last year. And we had Geno.
If we had
game.
Just slightly better quarterback play, we would have won that game. I was at that game.
And
terrible.
Jameis Winston played in that game too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
And he sucked in that game. I mean, I when you're at the game, you can really tell when someone's open, and he could have thrown for 500 yards that night. I remember seeing just wide open Saints players and him airmailing it, but the weather was terrible.
Yeah, I'm not making excuses for Jameis, obviously, but apparently he did get LASIK in the offseason, and supposedly he's going to play better because of that, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell. But what do you think overall? I think this one is a tough one. I'm going to say, it's on the road. It's another 10 a.m. game, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I don't want to say we're going to fall to 2-3 after starting 2-1, but
sounds like you're leaning towards that direction.
I think we might lose this game.
I have us losing this game as well. I just think, dude, I haven't seen us win in the Superdome. I don't even remember the last time I watched the Seahawks do that. Maybe not even while I've been a fan have they won down there. So
yeah.
I don't see that changing this year. So at this point, I have us at 3-2, and then unfortunately, I think the next week we're at home, but for some reason the home team seems to always lose the Cardinals matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on with that, and again, I think we're gonna drop this one too. So I have us at 3-3 after 6 weeks, losing to the Cardinals, Saints, and 49ers.
Yeah, that Cardinals game. That one's kind of tough too, just because the Cardinals always start off hot at the first half of the season, and then they kind of fizzle out. They've done that the past few seasons, really, under Cliff Kingsbury. And I kind of am with you. I think they're going to ride that narrative for another year, and Cardinals are going to come out firing on all cylinders. I kind of don't think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I could see it being more than a one-score game by the end of it. And yeah, I think Arizona's going to beat us, and we'll drop to 2-4.
This is one I'd love to be wrong about. I hate losing to the Cardinals at home. I've been to multiple Seahawks games where that's happened, and I just hate their red uniforms, man. Piss me off.
Yeah. I hate their black uniforms. That's not even their color.
Yeah, those are pretty gross. What do you got going on for the Chargers game?
Oh boy. I think we're gonna get blown out.
This could be like one of those random situations though where we like do really good against a good team. But I'm with you. The Chargers, honestly, I would love to see them make it to the bowl next year. They're kind of my AFC dark horse favorite team.
Yeah. The Chargers definitely have beefed up their D-line. Bringing in Khalil Mack, and I'm pretty sure they signed. Who's the corner they signed from New England?
J.C. Jackson?
Yeah, J.C. Jackson. Yeah, so they got 2 veterans added onto their defense, and I mean, Justin
Herbert's only
Justin
gonna get
Herbert.
better,
Justin
likely.
Herbert is a lot better than I thought he was in college.
Yeah, I didn't. He's been one of the. Him and Mahomes have been the biggest surprises to me. I guess I'll throw Josh Allen in there too, because I outright said, I was like, when the Bills took him, I was like, why is this guy even a first round pick? His stats were terrible, but
And I was like, when Josh Allen got drafted, I was like, he's just going to be a Jay Cutler. He can throw the ball really deep, but he'll probably never be a good decision maker.
And to be fair, Josh Allen's first couple of years weren't very good. They were like, middling at best, but then all of a sudden he turned into like a god in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, so week 8. We both decided we lose.
Yeah, I just don't see it. If we were at home, I'd give us more of a chance, but we're in SoFi. I think the Chargers are just too talented. They're gunning for the Super Bowl. We're praying for the playoffs. So at this point, I have us at 3-4. So does that mean on your schedule we're 2-5?
We're 2-5 on my schedule.
Yikes! Well,
Yeah.
let's hope things turn around.
But don't worry, we play the New York Giants week 8,
and Danny Dimes is coming to town.
And I think he's just gonna have that Danny Dimes look on his face the whole game, where he looks like he has no idea what's going on. He almost looks like Eli, but
I know.
like worse.
It's
somehow.
so funny the Giants drafted a guy that still looks like confused Eli Manning after so long of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we sell out to stop the run, Saquon Barkley, and make Danny Dimes beat us. And Danny Dimes is not going to beat us. He's going to throw like three picks, I'm going to say.
I have a pretty similar prediction.
And I think he's going to fumble and have a total of 4 turnovers in the game. And yeah, we're going to ride the rock. We're going to give the ball to good old Kenny Walk, and he's going to run all over them, and we're going to control the line of scrimmage.
I actually think week 8 is going to be our get right game. And I think we're maybe going to get behind early in the Chargers and have a comeback that falls short, but doesn't ever get that close. But like clearly the run game is working, and I think at this point we haven't given up on Drew yet, and the run game takes off, and Drew Lock throws like 3 touchdowns, but only like 200 yards kind of game, which is perfect Seattle football. I think this is another game where we're at home and we blow out inferior competition, and Danny Dimes maybe gets benched the week after. And then so next week, week 9, this is about the time of year where the Cardinals like to start shitting their pants. So I think we take this game. It's on the road, and terrible things have happened to the Seahawks in State Farm Stadium, but they do win a lot there. And I see that happening here. I feel like this game might be kind of similar to how it was last year in Arizona, where we just, maybe Rashad and Kenneth are both healthy in this game, and we just run for like 200 plus yards. And
What kind of makes me nervous a little bit about this game, though, is we didn't even mention it the first time. I'm just now remembering, but the first time we play the Cardinals, they will not have DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And they will have him in this game. So I'm a little skeptical on whether they or not they're going to be able to pull this one out. I still think they're going to lose the first game to them. I feel like we're still going to be figuring ourselves out early on in the year. But yeah, this one is a tough call. I want to say we win because I want to have a better record than 3-6 at this point. But I don't know. I think it's still early on enough in the season for Arizona to sweep us, unfortunately. And I think we dropped this game as well.
Fair enough.
3-6.
Well, week 10 in Germany, probably the Seahawks' last game ever against Tom Brady, unless something happens in the playoffs. Call me crazy. I think for no reason we're just gonna win this game. Like I don't have any intelligent insight as to why I think that's gonna happen. I just feel like it's going to, and it's gonna be really funny. So at this point, I actually have us at 6-4, oddly enough, which is maybe a little homerish, but there's still a lot of football to be played. But yeah, I think they go into the bye at 6-4, and send Tom Brady home with an L.
You know what is so weird is I kind of agree with you. I think we might just win this game for no reason. And I think it's week 10. I think injuries are going to be a factor. The Buccaneers were one of the oldest teams in the league last year, and I think that's going to catch up with them. And I think they're going to have some guys out by the time this game rolls around, and I think we'll take advantage of that. And who knows? Maybe Tom Brady will start to show his age. We've been saying this, hoping for this, wondering this
For years
now.
I thought 2019 was it. I thought that was the end of Brady.
Yeah, that was the year he lost to the Titans in the playoffs. See, I thought that was it too, and then he fucking won another goddamn Super Bowl. But I think we weirdly are going to win this game as well and go to 4-6.
What do you got for the Raiders after? Keep in mind this is after our bye week and it's at home.
I think we lose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got us winning this one just because I honestly think the Raiders are a little overrated. I feel like Derek Carr is kind of the AFC version of Matt Stafford, where like, yeah, doesn't get a lot of media love, but people act like he's some superhero. I don't think Derek Carr is that good. I thought he's just, like a Kirk Cousins type of quarterback, personally. I mean, I'm probably upsetting some Raiders fans out there, but I think he's clearly the worst quarterback in that division. I know they got DeAndre Hopkins. Like maybe they'll kick our ass, but I kind of just see this being a game that the Seahawks actually pull out and win. We're coming off a bye.
I know you meant Devontae Adams and not Hopkins. But
did I say Hopkins?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just look at that Raider offense and even the Raider defense. They got some good guys on there, and they've got Hunter Renfrow, who I think is one of the most underrated receivers in the league, and seems like a guy that will give the Seahawks, 1,000 cuts, like we were saying earlier.
He seems like someone that would be really annoying to play against.
Yeah, and that, not to mention Darren Waller and now Devontae Adams being thrown into the mix. I don't know. I could see us kind of getting handed one by that offense.
So you have us at 4-7.
Yes.
Well, I have the opposite of that, 7-4. But the next week at Los Angeles, it's going to be 7-5. The Rams have been just an absolute nightmare to play ever since Sean McVay got there, and even before that, like something about the Seahawks-Rams rivalry has always just made those games miserable.
It's almost like Pete Carroll, can't figure out how to beat them.
What's weird is I feel like the last couple of times the Seahawks have played the Rams, the defense has done their job for the most part, but we just can't score against them. Like Aaron Donald is just such a monster.
When I don't know, I feel like we can't click on both cylinders whenever we play them. Like if the offense is doing good, then the defense is not. And
that's how it was in 2018. I remember we ran the ball well against them. Russ played well, but we gave up 30 points.
Yeah.
So I have us losing this game.
Yep. Me as well. So.
But the good news is the next week we play the Panthers at home, and I think this might be an annoying game where the Panthers are in the lead after the first half, but I think we win this game. I don't believe in any quarterback on their roster. Christian McCaffrey will probably be injured by this point for how much they'll use him. So
that's what I was going to say. I think Christian McCaffrey will, once again, for the third straight season, suffer some sort of injury where he's out for multiple weeks on end, and they will struggle to get their run game going against us. Who the hell knows who their quarterback is going to be by what week was that? Week 14?
Yeah, I really don't think their quarterback is going to matter too much, though, because, they have, what's his name?
Sam Darnold and
DJ Moore.
Oh.
At receiver, so, he's their main weapon besides McCaffrey. But, I don't know, maybe Matt Corral is playing at that point. Rookie QBs don't generally do very well against a Pete Carroll defense. So if Corral is starting, I don't see that moving the needle for the Panthers at all.
Yeah. So I have us getting to 5-8 after the Panthers.
How do you feel about this Thursday night game against the 49ers?
I think that's a 50-50 game. I think we've owned the Niners really since the Pete Carroll era has began.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna give them a W just because I want to. I want to go 6-8 and not 5-9.
That's fair. I have us going the other direction here. Just, I don't know. Russell always played so good against the 49ers. I hope I'm wrong. I still hate them. But I have us falling to 8-6 here. And then sadly the next week, we go to the Kansas City Chiefs and play on Christmas Eve. And it's so hard to see a world where the Seahawks go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs at home in December.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I just don't
We're
see
gonna
it
lose
happening.
that game.
So I have us fall into...
The only way we don't lose this game is if like Patrick Mahomes gets injured or some weird thing like that.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I don't, and especially the weather there is going to be nothing that we're used to.
This would be like one of the biggest
and a 10 a.m.
upsets of the last, honestly, decade for the Seahawks. I think if they somehow win this game, which I mean, like I'd love to see it. I don't see it happening. So at this point, I have us at 8-7. I think yes, 8-7. But again, good news is the next week we play the New York Jets, and I think we beat the brakes off them.
You think so? With all the new additions they got on their team?
Yeah, I mean, just because they're young, good rookies doesn't mean they're going to put all three of them are going to put it together their first year. I think the Jets could be good in a year or two, but they're still the bottom of that division. They're still, I'm not a believer in Zach Wilson. I don't think he's going to be much of anything in the NFL. Could be wrong, but he was really bad last year. I do like Robert Saleh as a coach. I could see him turning things around in New York, but I think it's our I guess it's January 1st is when we're playing them, but it's winter at Lumen. I think our run game is going to be just very strong at that point in the year. So I think we're going to win that game and get up to 9-7.
Nice. I think that's going to be a close game.
You think so?
The Jets. Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think we end up winning.
I think if it was on the road, I would be a lot more worried about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think we're going to run the ball and run all over them, and hopefully we'll have Rashad Penny still by this point to give them a little mix up and give them a dose of Kenneth Walker and then wash it down with some Rashad Penny. But
I think Carson's probably going to be cut.
I think if he was smart, he would retire.
Yeah.
He's basically got the same deal going on that Cam Chancellor had. So
any neck injury, I'm just like, man, it's
not worth it to be paralyzed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we get this win, and that is our 7th win for me, I think.
Okay. So it's my 9th, your 7th, which makes sense. Unfortunately, our season finale is against the Rams. I could see us putting up a good effort here. Maybe if the Rams are resting for the playoffs, we somehow win it. But I can't say I think the Seahawks win 10 games in 2022. However, I do think 9-8, which is what I have as the final record here, is within reason. I think it's probably the ceiling of the 2022 squad, but I don't know. I just think everyone's writing them off. There's a big underdog mentality on the team, and I think our defense especially is going to surprise some people next year.
See, I think we're going to beat them, and I think it's because they're going to be resting players for the playoffs.
Okay, that's reasonable.
That is my only chance that I'm giving us, but I'm going to gamble and say that that's the situation the Rams are in, and we are going to be wanting to finish our season strong.
So you have 8 and 9.
I have 8 and 9.
I think realistically anywhere from 7 and 10 to 8 and 9 or 9 and 8 is where the Seahawks will end up next year. I'm leaning on the upside, but I don't think they're going to be a bottom of the barrel team like some people are throwing out there, because we play some of the worst teams in the league next year. Division games are always kind of a toss up. And again, the placement of some of these games, like Broncos week 1, Rams end of the year, if they've, already locked up a playoff spot, they could be a cake game. So,
And it's kind of interesting to think if the Rams are in a situation where they do rest their starters, Bobby Wagner is not going to be. I mean, you think he'll sit out that game coming home to Seattle? Like, it might not even be up to him at that point.
That's true. I feel like to be up to him, he would definitely play. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I definitely hope Bobby can stay healthy through all of next year, because I am a huge Bobby Wagner fan. Love the guy, but he's 32. He already got hurt at the end of last year, and he's played a lot of snaps.
And he's played a lot slower than he did when he was, first came into the league and was chasing people down. He just can't do that anymore. Not to say he's not still amazing.
He's still a tackle machine.
Yeah, I love everything he brings. But I 8 and 9 is where I'm sitting.
Do you think somehow they get in the playoffs at 8 and 9 if the NFC is bad enough? The NFC is gonna suck next year, dude.
Let's see, because pretty much all the NFC South is like a joke besides the Buccaneers, in my opinion. And then let's see, the NFC East, everyone besides the Cowboys, I think. The Eagles, I don't know. I think the Eagles are going to have a good defense next year, adding Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
And they just signed that corner out of New York. I can't remember.
Bradbury?
Yeah, Bradbury.
I also don't think Jalen Hurts is as bad as people say he is.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we didn't try and go after Minshew still this offseason. I think
it's just because his arm's so weak.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll himself said that he doesn't want a quarterback that can't gun it. I mean, the thing is, like, we say Minshew has a weak arm. I'm sure he can still throw the ball like 60 yards. It's just...
Yeah.
NFL standards are crazy.
But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, you're going to call me crazy. I think a team that might surprise a lot of people this year and maybe sneak in is Washington. I think
the Commanders.
I think
I kind of forgot about
Carson
them.
Wentz is not as bad as people perceive him to be. He just had a really bad end to his season. Maybe like worst case scenario end. His numbers weren't terrible. They were...
I think he threw like 27 touchdowns and like 7 picks, which is not a bad
I had him on my
ratio.
fantasy team, and I was like, damn, I'm glad I have him on my bench. He's putting up good numbers.
Yeah.
But
I'm definitely rooting for him to do good next year.
And not to mention, I mean, Terry McLaurin, I'm a believer in scary
was it
Terry.
Olave that they drafted?
No, Jahan Dotson. Dotson. I got him at pick number 24 in our draft, and I cannot believe he fell to me that late.
Yeah.
That's who I traded you, Ronald Jones. I got Jahan Dotson for that.
That's right.
So
I honestly, my fantasy team has so many good receivers and like potentially good receivers. I'm like, I need to stop. I have too many.
I'm in the same boat as you. But yeah, I think the NFC East, the Giants will be the worst team in that division again.
For sure.
I think the Cowboys are probably going to win that division. And then the Eagles and the Commanders are going to fight for that second spot. And then what do we got next? The NFC North, obviously Green Bay, I think will own the Bears like they always do. The Vikings are such a weird team to me, I think, because I think that they're kind of like us. They have sort of a good defense and they can run the ball. But Mike Zimmer just got fired, didn't he?
Did he?
I thought he did.
I think you're right. I forgot that happened. So much happened this offseason.
I'm pretty certain, if you want to fact check that, I think Mike Zimmer got fired finally because he kept losing winnable games. Is he coach still?
He was recently the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay,
So yeah, he was fired.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the Vikings are always a weird team because sometimes they'll like play Green Bay and they'll just win, and sometimes it won't even be close. But then they'll get blown out by Green Bay. So they're just like a coin flip of a team, I feel like. The Bears, I think, are bad. I don't believe in Justin Fields at all. Lions, I think the Lions are up and coming. They'll kind of be like us this year, I think.
I think the Bears could be one of the worst teams in the league this year, actually.
Yeah.
Which, sorry, Chicago, you guys have been bad for a while, but I didn't see them do anything this offseason that made me feel the slightest amount of optimism about them.
So I guess after, going through the divisions, I do think that we could potentially make the playoffs at 8 and 9, but I don't know. It's tough to say. We would be the 7th seed, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. That's what I have us is maybe being the 7th seed, but I don't really even care about the playoffs this year because they're not going to win the Super Bowl. And it'd be fun, but I have us maybe sneaking in as the 7th seed. We'd have to pull off a pretty big upset against, someone like the Packers in Green Bay or the Bucks. Don't really see it, but I think this season is, to me, it's very reminiscent of like the 2010 or 2011 Seahawks, where clearly you're going to see some good signs, like we're building to something, but not everything's firing at all cylinders yet. And maybe next year they can use their 2 first-round picks to really jumpstart a new contender.
I'm feeling the exact same way. I think we're going to see a lot of the building blocks this year. It's going to be like, it's going to be there, but there's just going to be a couple pieces missing that we're going to be like, okay, well, we'll plug those holes in the off season in the draft. And I just really just need to see who our quarterback is going to be. I mean, it's so early. And if it is Drew Lock, we're going to need to see, what he can do, because I really never even watched him that much when he was playing in Denver.
No, I mean, I've watched about all the tape I can find of him since the trade, because, naturally I want to see what we're getting ourselves into. And the good with him is like, it definitely is exciting. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Brett Favre, oddly enough, because he just has some YOLO throws that like are into such a tight window, but he has the arm strength to do it. I feel like Pete's definitely going to be like, hey, don't do that so much.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Drew is I feel like if he's just kind of guided and we run the ball a lot, he only has to throw the ball like 20, 25 times a game and doesn't, if he just, keeps making boneheaded plays, then screw it, throw Geno out there. But like, I think there's a chance that it could be something. So what's your season prediction if Drew is starting for his stats?
I would like to. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say he throws around 20 to 25. I'm gonna say 23 touchdowns.
How many picks?
Just because I think Pete Carroll, like you were just saying, will make him be more of a game manager than a gunslinger. Obviously, you don't want him to be a gunslinger. He's proven in the past that he will throw interceptions if you make him do that. I'm gonna say he throws 14 picks.
Okay, that's extremely similar to what I'm expecting. I was thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of like 32. Well, I guess they play 17 games now, so let's say 3,400 yards.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that one extra game. That one weird game. It's against the Jets, right?
Our extra game is actually the Broncos. Oh, wait. No. It is the Jets. You're right.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 22 touchdowns and like 12 interceptions, something like that. So like, I think he'll probably have a QB rating in the 90s. But
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Maybe in the next year he can put it all together and be better. Or we draft a quarterback, either way. But yeah, those are pretty much my like best case scenario expectations for the Seahawks this year. And it's our podcast, so I'm allowed to be positive, even if it's foolish.
Who do you think is going to lead the team in sacks?
I think Darryl Taylor.
Yeah. That's probably the safe pick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it'd be cool if one of our rookies, like someone like Boye Mafe, surprised us.
Well, and I think
because he's an extremely athletic dude, and if I heard correctly, he's not been playing football for very many years.
No, and that's why we got him in the second round. Is he's super raw, like he's really a kind of guy that might not put it all together for a year or two. But I think he's only 23, and defensive linemen can kind of play a while. But yeah, he ran a 4.5. He's super fast, super big, really strong. So the thing about pass rush, though, is the best case scenario is not just having one dominant guy, but having like 4 guys that can do it. And I think if you have, that guy we signed, Nuosu, he had a pretty good.
He could
rate.
Also surprise us
And dark horse candidate is Tyreek Smith, the guy we got from OSU in the 5th.
Yeah.
He doesn't have really good measurables, but he was like, he had a really high quarterback pressure rate. He didn't finish a bunch. He didn't get a ton of sacks in college, but he had a ton of pressures. I don't remember. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that was his thing, basically. Yeah. So when you combine all 4 of those guys, I think that will produce a lot more sacks, and I think Taylor is just going to be the one cleaning up the most often. So I think he'll get like, let's say 10. But there's also someone we're forgetting, Jamal Adams.
Yeah, I know. Now that they're changing it to a 3-4, who knows? We could be having him rush the passer more than he was doing.
I think we should. I mean, like when we were doing that in 2020 and it was working, it was the only good thing our defense could do. Literally.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a reason why the internet calls him Blitz Boy.
Yeah, because he's damn good at it.
Yeah. What about Rashad Penny or Kenneth Walker? Who do you think has a better season?
It's totally contingent upon Rashad's health, and he already has a hammy injury.
Let's say he stays healthy the whole season.
If he stays healthy, I think he's the lead guy, and I could see him going off for 1,000 or more. I think no matter what happens, I think Kenneth Walker is going to have about 800 yards this season, and like 6 touchdowns. But I think next season we probably won't have Penny anymore because either he'll
probably sign with someone.
Yeah,
someone will pay him money
to
get injured and
but
pull his hamstring and be out for 6 weeks for like the Dolphins or someone like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, I think Kenneth Walker is clearly going to be the guy for the next 4 years, hopefully longer. I mean, running backs don't last super long in today's NFL, but Kenneth Walker, I am really excited about him. I can't wait to see him play.
Same.
I just read last week that it looks like Abraham Lucas, I mean, granted, they're playing in shorts and helmets, so you can't really judge too much, but it's looking like Cross and Lucas have the inside track to start on either side.
Oh, great. Yeah, because who's the other right tackle that we have?
Jake Curran.
Curran, yeah, that's right.
Who I like, but I mean, we drafted Lucas in the 3rd round. Curran's undrafted free agent. I want the guy we spent more capital on to start. But I think Curran, I don't know if we're going to do this anymore because it's a different offensive coordinator, but if we use Curran as a swing tackle like we used to with George Fant, he's a dominant run blocker, so that would be pretty sweet and like short yardage situations.
I could see us doing that too, though, because we're going to be running a lot with our duo and maybe even trio. We don't ultimately know what's going to happen with Carson yet.
Yeah, I mean, if he can physically do it, sure. I'm just like, I would be really devastated if something happened to Chris Carson.
Yeah,
when it didn't need to. So that's my take on it. But yeah, pretty much that's kind of a wrap on what we're expecting out of the Seahawks next year. Do you have any other predictions?
No, I was thinking maybe next time next episode, we could potentially do like a pick each division winner, way too early division winners, maybe
like
predictions.
MVP winner, stuff like that.
Exactly.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm down. Well, cool. That's it for me and Jonah. Thanks for listening again to the JR Takes Sportscast. Subscribe, like, all that stuff, and we'll catch you on the next one.